This is why I absolutely love haters, okay? And why you might want to consider starting to like them too if you can't stand them for whatever reason, right? If you're able to approach this from an objective standpoint, maybe you might come to see that haters are actually people that do you a huge favor, okay? Now, let me explain. Before I do go ahead, I would like to point out really quickly, it's not like I don't have like a ton of haters, right? Um, I'm not even big enough. Like, I think, who was it? Grant Cardone, I might have first heard this from, but he made this comment, or he said something like, if you don't have any haters, then you're not big enough, or you're not doing things right enough, or you're not successful enough, you're not succeeding enough, something along those lines, right? Anyway, I just wanted to point that out to begin with, right? Of course, I wouldn't go even anywhere near as far as saying that I have haters per se, but this is not something that I'm learning not only from my personal experience, but this is something that I see even with other people that are, more advanced or where I want to be, that I look up to, and then I see their haters, right? And the certain benefits of their haters, right? At least benefits in my eyes. Let me just put it that way. Okay. So the other thing too is, if you are interested in getting started with some kind of online business and don't know where to start, right? One that I highly recommend is affiliate marketing, which is what I do. It's what I talk quite a bit about on this channel. And there's one that has basically, if you'd like to get started, check out the first link in the description below this video. It is a very simple, done for you affiliate marketing business model that anyone can get started with the least number of hoops to jump through in terms of setup and all that type of stuff, right? The training is free. You'll get access to everything for free. You'll be able to start making money for free. But anyway, go check it out. It's something that might be of interest to you, or maybe not. All right. But if you've ever had any inclination to start any kind of online business and really didn't know where to start, or you have been doing something, you're just looking for something different, check out that first link in the description below this video. All right. Now, when it comes to haters, right? Like, you would think by, on the surface, anyone would look at you. Why would you like haters, right? And think about it. We're all human, right? On the surface, nobody, most of us, I should say, don't like criticism or negative feedback and all that type of stuff, right? We all carry some little egos and all that type of stuff, but one of the things that I've come to realize is that, in fact, the biggest reason why I love haters is because of the fact that they basically poke holes, right? They're able to poke holes in all the stuff that you do, right? And if you're able to look at this objectively, a lot of times you'll see that they do make a lot of sense, right? Yes, haters are people that, just for whatever reason, just don't like you, and there's just nothing that you can do that will please them in any way, shape, or form. So 9 times out of 10, they're always going to be looking for the bad or the negative, like your weaknesses, and pointing them out and all that type of stuff, right? And that is why that reason, that in itself is the reason why I like them, because they will expose, and I've seen this even with bigger creators, right, that I follow, that I like, also, and because, this is the thing, right? If you have somebody that you idolize, or someone that you aspire to be like, right, in terms of where they are in their career or whatever it is that you're trying to do, because of that bias, you tend to have a blind eye. Like, basically, you naturally tend to feel like everything they do or everything they say is gospel, right? You don't necessarily look for the bad in everything that they do, right? But the haters do, right? And they point that out, and you can start to see flaws and cracks and little things that can be improved, okay? So I would encourage you, right? I would encourage you to, if to kind of embrace haters in a sense, like when you do get like negative comments or negative feedback and all that type of stuff, right? Because here's the thing, right? There's two, like, I need to point this out too, right? There's a difference between, I'm not talking about trolls here, right? You've got haters, and then you've got trolls, and then you actually have people that that actually like you and want to see you do good and succeed and all that type of stuff, and they'll give you negative feedback, right? So those, like, I'm keeping here more so on the camp of those who want to see you succeed and give you, give you feedback, which is not necessarily the feedback that you would want to hear, right? And the haters who, because they dislike you, they're always going to be looking for all the ways to, get at you or poke you or criticize you and all that type of stuff, right? Those are the people I'm talking about. Forget the trolls. Trolls are just people that come in with the deliberate intention to incite some kind of, just to irritate you, whatever the case may be, right? To trigger you, whatever the case. Those, I'm not talking about trolls, right? Those are people who, they've got nothing better to do with their time, and they just want to, cause I've had some of those too, right? And it's easy to spot them, okay? But if you can be level-headed, right? Develop some thick skin and acknowledge the fact that you are, like, despite what you may think you're doing is, even if you think what you're doing is fantastic or great, which is not to say that that's what I think about what I'm doing right now, no. But I'm just saying, if you are one of those people, right, pay attention to these haters, right? Pay attention to the things that they say, because a lot of times they're not necessarily, they're not necessarily wrong, right? And you can learn a ton from them, right? And you can learn to go plug those holes that they keep poking at and pointing at, right? They can actually make you better, right? Like I said, if you can put your emotions to the side and actually listen and pay attention to some of these things that they're saying, right? You can use that as a way to catapult and improve, catapult your output, your performance, or the value that you give, the things that you do, right? And you can go improve, right? You use that information to make your stuff better, right? Obviously, you want to be able to have, like, you need to be able to discern, what is good information, right? Even if it's negative that they're giving you versus that which is bad, right? You don't necessarily have to agree with everything that they're telling you or saying, but if you can be objective, a lot of times you'll see that a lot of the stuff that they point out can be actually true, right? And you should take it upon yourself to take that information and go and improve, right? They're actually doing you a favor without realizing it, right? The haters, like the ones that actually dislike you or just hate everything you do for whatever reason, right? And, they might be thinking that they're getting at you by pointing out your flaws or saying that you're horrible at this or that or whatever. As long as there's some kind of, truth and constructive negative feedback in there, right? Even if that's not their intent, because they just want to hate and they just want to, pile down on you. Pay attention to that stuff, because there's actually some good information in there that you can take and use to go improve, whatever it is you're doing. Okay. So keep that in mind, right? That's, like I said, naturally, right? Naturally as as being human, right? A lot of this stuff, that saying the truth hurts, right? You can't handle the truth, right? Or it stings, people don't want to hear the truth because it hurts, or it's because it's actually true and it's not good or not stuff that they want to hear, right? Like on a place like YouTube or social media and all that, our natural inclination, right? When we get quote unquote haters and all that type of stuff, the natural inclination is to want to go block them and tune them out and, not listen to anything that they have to say, which I would encourage you not to necessarily, to actually pay more attention, right? pay more attention to these to these quote unquote haters, right? Like I said, I don't on you can see all my like my social media or like my YouTube channel is small and all that type of stuff. Like I don't have I wouldn't consider myself at this particular point in time as someone that has haters. No, I don't have, but I have seen other much bigger channels that 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 have plenty of haters, right? That have plenty of haters, and you can learn from that information that the haters that put out there at this point in time. As far as like my channel and all that, like I said, I don't see myself. I don't think I have any haters per se. Maybe I do have silent ones out there that I don't know of. But for the most part, I'm highly appreciative of the subscribers and followers that I do have, even when I have gotten negative comments from, and I wouldn't even call them negative comments. It's more so constructive negative feedback, right? I really appreciate people like that. So, these are actually like what I've had in terms of that are more so people that are, the people that want to see me do better, or people who want to see me do well, right? That type of stuff. So, it just made me, like I said, they're not haters. These are people giving constructive negative feedback, but it just made me think about, the few tiny haters that I might have had like in the past with other channels and all that type of stuff, right? It's just, if you can be objective, develop some thick skin, there's a lot of golden nuggets in what haters sometimes have to say. Okay. And that is precisely why I like them, right? That is why I like them. Now, I'm not inviting a barrage of negative comments or not. I'm not saying that. I'm not inviting people to do that, right? But I'm just simply saying, in the event that you do get them, right, pay attention to what they're saying. You'll be able to tell whether this, 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to tell whether it's, information that is good, that is accurate, that you can actually learn from, versus someone that's just trolling. Okay. All right. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Ciao.